Yeah, welcome to this lesson. In this lesson, we'll be treating plant cells and animal cells, or a comparison between plant cells and animal cells. So from our previous lesson, we talked about how cells differ. We talked about how different cells are being arranged into tissues. So now, at the ending of the previous lesson, we mentioned something about cell differentiation. So now there are different types of cells. We have plant cells and animal cells, and these are the two main types of eukaryotic cells. In our first lesson under cell, we talked about how we have prokaryotic cells being the type of cells that don't have a nucleus and they don't have an organized cell membrane. And we also had the eukaryotic cells, which are the cells that have an organized cell membrane and also have a nucleus. So now this kind of cell that's called the eukaryotic cell, they then have two types of cells, and these two types are called plant cells and animal cells. So while they share many common features, they also exhibit key structural and functional differences. They reflect their specific roles and nature. So plant cells and animal cells are types of eukaryotic cells, but they differ in some extent. So let's see, both plant and animal cells have nucleus, so both of them are eukaryotic cells, and they also have cytoplasms, plasma membranes, and organelles such as mitochondria and endoplasmic reticulum. So these shared components are crucial for maintaining cell viability and functioning. So they are basic organelles within these cells. The basic organelles within these cells are similar, like organelles like nucleus, cytoplasm, plasma membrane, mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum. These are common between both plant cells and animal cells. So let's see some of the differences between both of them. The major difference between a plant cell and animal cell is the presence of a rigid cell wall. So if they should ask you what is the major difference between a plant cell and an animal cell, the major difference is that the plant cell has what is called a rigid cell wall. It has a rigid cell wall. It has an organized outer frame, like an organized outer frame, like it has fence, something like that. If I'll call it that, rigid fence. So while animal cells, they don't, and plant cells are made up of cellulose, a kind of sugar-related stuff, hydrocarbon, or a kind of carbohydrate. They have what's called cellulose. They are made up of cellulose. That's what plant cells are made up of. They're made up of cellulose, and these cellulose provide their supporting structure. Is responsible for that their rigid cell wall structure. While animal cells, they lack this rigid cell wall, and they have more flexible shape. So as we can see, plants, the shape of plants are actually almost the same throughout. They just have a single trunk that runs up to the door to the shoots and spread into branch. So the trunks, they are actually having a rigid structure. The cells that make up plants are rigid in structure. They don't have the ability to just change shape. While animal cells, they don't have that rigid structure, and they are not necessarily made up of cellulose. So they have flexible shapes. So these are the major differences between plant cell and animal cell. So here is an image that tries to explain that tries to show different types, the different structures of plant cells. So we can see on the plant cell end, which is this blue one, you see how the edges are rough. They don't have a specific structure. It's just like an amoebic shape. So this is actually how plant cells are. They don't have a steady structural shape. So while animal cells, they look like this. They look like very squared. You can tell that this is looking like a complete square. So they have a rigid cell wall. They have rigid cell wall, what's called a rigid cell, and they have rigid structure. So here are some of the components that are found in both plant and animal cells. So for plant cell, we can see endoplasmic reticulum, rough endoplasmic reticulum, and smooth one. We have nucleus, ribosome, Golgi apparatus, mitochondria, peroxysomes, plastids, chloroplast, cytoskeleton. We have central vacuoles, cytoplasm, plasma membrane, cell walls, and also plasmodesmata. So these are the organelles that are found within a plant cell. So for an animal cell, we have centrosome and centrioles, we have Golgi vessels, we have microvilli, we have Golgi bodies, we have microtubules, we have ribosomes, we have cell surface membrane, we have cytoplasm, we have smooth endoplasmic reticulum, we have the nucleus, we have the rough endoplasmic reticulum, we also have the mitochondria, we also have lysosomes. So plant cells contain chloroplasts, which is not present in animal cells. This chloroplast is responsible for carrying out stuff like photosynthesis. So since animals don't undergo photosynthesis, they don't have chloroplast. So these are some of the differences between them. So animal cells do not perform photosynthesis, and so they don't have chloroplast. So vacuoles are also different between plant cells and animal cells. So the vacuoles, they differ significantly. So for plant cells, they have a larger central vacuole, and this central vacuole maintains the pressure and store nutrients within the plant cells. While for animal cells, we have many small vacuoles which are scattered throughout the entire arrangement of these cells. So plant cells have a single central vacuole, while animal cell, they have several small vacuoles found, and these vacuoles are responsible for storing of nutrients within the plant cells. So these are some of the differences between plant cells and animal cells. As I mentioned earlier, I said plant cells, they don't have plastids, they don't have chloroplasts, they don't have several vacuoles, they have a single central vacuole. So now, during cell division, animal cells form a cleavage furrow, while plant cells, they develop a cell plate due to the presence of rigid wall. So during cell division, plant cells, they undergo they form what is called a cleavage furrow, while animal cells, they form what is called a cell plate. And the reason why they form cell plates is because they have the presence of their rigid cell wall. So this distinction underscores the unique adaptation of each of these cell types. So now, in conclusion, we say that plant cells and animal cells, they reflect evolutionary adaptation to their environment. So, and recognizing these similarities and also the differences between plant and animal cells can help you understand life and also how different organisms function in life. So with all this being said, I will say we've come to an end of this lesson, and I'll be saying bye for now.